Hello and welcome back to MAVV Radio. My name is Justin, aka Icebox on the internet, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Tori, aka Gail Fox,
That's me.
and Lex, aka Guarded Belief.
Hey.
So we're here at the final two episodes of Season 1.
And this is where stuff gets super real.
But before we dive into that, some really cool announcements. We hit 600 views on our last episode, so thank you so much, Ben, aka Universe, and RWBY, for joining us last episode. That was totally awesome, and we got a lot of good feedback for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thanks. And I kind of want him back again.
Yeah, we'll definitely
that was fun.
We'll definitely try to get him back for season 2. Also, we hit over 100 followers on Tumblr, and over 50 followers on Twitter. So we're getting up there. That's pretty cool stuff.
Thank you, guys.
And as the plot gets rolling, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna go to the poll that we did last week,
which Lex put for a day. So if you missed it, blame Lex.
It's my fault. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I was tired. You know how it goes.
So the poll was, when your friend is down, what do you do? And we had 35 votes within that limited time. And the winner is 38% with Nora breaks legs.
Yes.
Oh my god, you guys are violent people.
Why not?
31% was RWBY, give advice. 20% was Pyrrha, share the burden, and 11% was Ren, make them food.
Apparently no.
You actually wrote make them food instead of them food.
Ah, damn it. I fucked up twice. Oh my
Make
god.
them food.
I'm gonna live with this forever. Sorry, guys.
It's gonna be over your head.
Well, I noticed that the poll went out when I went to go vote for myself on my own personal Twitter account, and I noticed that I couldn't vote anymore. So
you just don't count anymore. Bye.
I think I would have.
Congratulations, you.
I would have voted for, I think, Pyrrha.
Oh, okay.
Share the burden.
Share the burden.
Yeah.
Would have gotten it one more vote.
It does help a lot knowing that someone's there for you, kind of like ready to shoulder it with you.
Yeah, alright.
I know. I was more RWBY. I like to give advice, but then I let the person kind of like take care of it themselves.
I'm just 100% Nora with the side of RWBY. I will absolutely break anyone's legs if you do any harm.
Break their legs.
Just to my friends. Just beat them up.
Okay, so don't mess with us.
On that note.
Don't mess with us, because Lex will break your legs if you mess with us. So
yes, exactly.
Beware.
Beware the
You
Lex.
mess with Spider-Man, you mess with New York.
Beware the bad comments. Just kidding. We like honest feedback.
Honestly.
Okie dokie.
So we got some comments from different sites. We'll go to YouTube. Maddie Ice 2ish wrote, for fun fact, Jean's ringtone in Volume 2, Chapter 12 is the remix of Russell yelling Ursa, so we have to keep an eye out on that. I didn't know that. So
I remember that one. I know where it's at, so I'll point it out when we get to it.
Ursa.
So that was just a little fun fact. And then we got something from Link in a Fluffy Hat on Tumblr, and he said, Ursa is a sort of mutation. In the World of Remnant episode, the more Grim kills or fights, they get stronger, which shows by getting bigger and smarter, knowing who they should fight and who to run from.
So they learn. And they're not just like stupid creatures of darkness and shadow.
Well, they start out stupid.
I mean, we also...
I think most of us start out stupid.
Later learned about how wise the elephant Grim are, so, I mean...
Yeah. And then RWBY Fan on Tumblr said, besides handing out the dust of Pyrrha, we should also hand out some nuts and bolts and torn fabric to represent Penny.
Why would you suggest that? Why would you hurt me like this?
I'm going to do it.
No!
So we can give that to RWBY cosplayers.
No, because I'm gonna be Ruby. You're gonna kill me.
Oh no, yes. RWBY fan also said that brought up that John is the only male in his family, which gives him the fact that he is the only person to live on the Ark last name.
I just think because he has all them sisters too.
Yeah, he has a
so-
lot of sisters.
I think we said he was the Caboose of RWBY series because Caboose has like 12 brothers or
Yeah,
12
didn't-
sisters or something.
I think we
Like a
mentioned
ridiculous
that.
amount.
Yep.
So there's pressure in that, trying to survive and carry out the name. That's kind of
Pretty
a big
much.
deal.
But not only that, it's also kind of like his grandfather, his father, and now him carrying on like not only the Ark name, but like that Ark pride of being warriors.
Yep.
I guess.
RWBY fan also brought up the point that when John says that lies about getting into Beacon represents the character he's represented as Joan of Arc, who lied to get into the French army.
Because she was a girl.
Yeah, she lied about being a man. So
Yep.
that kind of parallel between the two. Fun
I think
fact.
it's thought to be a really nice point to bring up that mostly all of Juniper's team, or who they're based on, kind of had a little white lie. Like,
Well, their whole team is based off people that one time in their story cross-dressed.
Mm-hmm.
because
John is Joan of Arc, who dressed up as a man to fight in a war. Ren is Mulan, who did the exact same thing as Joan of
Arc.
Joan
Arc.
of Arc, yeah.
And then Nora is Thor, who in one time in the mythology disguised themselves as a woman. And Pyrrha is Achilles, who at one time disguised himself as a redheaded girl named Pyrrha.
well, that oddly fits really, really well.
So
Yeah.
very well.
If I remember all that correctly. Monty even said that all of Juniper's team is based off some people that have cross-dressed in their backstory. So
Hey, see, it's that kind of detail that I love.
yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
Just
And
how
they're-
much care you put into characters.
they're
Oh.
all gender switched too. So
Yeah. Which is like perfect.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, fun facts.
Woo.
Yeah, that was pretty much all we got for feedback wise. We always appreciate all the feedback, and if you guys ever have any theories or ideas or fun facts that you want to mention, just send us a tweet or a message on Tumblr. Or even you can probably comment on the YouTube or SoundCloud too.
Yeah.
We read them all.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess without further ado, let's dive into the last 2 episodes of season 1. Oh my god, you guys, we're on the last 2 episodes of season 1. It's already been like I was like, what episode are we on? And I had to think about that for a second.
I
It's
know.
16.
Same.
We've been doing this for 7 weeks.
Oh
Yay!
man.
Happy end of season 1, everybody.
Yay.
Have a little pop ride, pop it.
Hmm.
I'm really happy with my note title with this one. Faunus Among Us.
Oh my god. Tori.
I'm a genius.
Using the puns everywhere. God.
I love puns.
I don't get it.
Get out.
Get out. I'm with the books. Okay, I'm not going to explain it here, but maybe after the call I will explain to you why this is funny and why I'm a genius.
And so I guess episode 15 we start off with the Vital Festivals coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it almost because season 3 right now seems so far away as far as like
gosh, I
context goes, but
know.
I always forget just how short season 2 is supposed to be in terms of like length of time that's passed.
Yeah, it's literally about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
season 2
it's
is
so
really
weird.
short.
It's so weird to think. It's like, oh man, this happened with the span of two years. Oh no, it didn't actually happen in 2 years.
If it's 2 years for us, it's like 2 weeks for them. We're like
I
on
know,
dog time compared
God,
to
yeah.
them.
Well, the gap between season 1 and season 2 is like a break. So
Yeah,
like
that's
a
what I
school
mean by
break.
like, yeah.
For us, it feels so much longer than it actually is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're all getting ready for the Battle Festival, and everyone's happy and super excited about like the World Cultural wonderful festival, and we get to the first of what we now realize is a whole bunch of dust robberies that have been going on. And what what kills me is the fact that the two guys investigating are immediately like they just like look at the scene and they're just like, yeah, it's the White Fang.
Yeah, it's a
Just
white
like,
thing. Yeah.
good job, you guys.
Spot on.
Good job. Really quick to pull the blame on them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're probably not wrong. I mean, that's what we found out later, that the White Fang has been working with Torchwick.
Mhm.
But just the fact that they're so quick to pin it on the White Fang, and like how we talked about last week with the Fauna Swarm, and like the whole menagerie deal, and just how like bad faunus and human relationships had been, and probably kind of still are at this point for some people, that they would jump to that conclusion, and how it's just like this, it's still really prevalent in
I
Mhm.
think
everyday society.
I think you're disregarding the detective work that these two have done.
I
Maybe
think you're
they're
also
just, like-
disregarding who the detectives are.
Maybe they done
I don't
like
get paid enough for this. Yeah, you think it's the White Fang? I don't think I get paid enough. Like, wow, way to like phone it in, guys.
Seriously, Joel, fucking love them. Oh crap.
Miss
But,
Bernie was one of them.
apparently, they also said it was the second dust shop to be hit in a week, and I think it was that they were out on a Friday. So, you know, within 5 days, there's been 2 dust robberies, probably just in Vale.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Considering that these guys are always like, ugh, it's my home, run. So it's like, I guess it started to escalate really, really badly at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, now we're on the move. Now Torchwick's on the move, and this is again where stuff gets super serious.
Yeah.
It's like getting down to the Bear Grylls.
So yeah, we find out though, like the whole reason Weiss is out and about is like she wants to scope out the like competition, trying to get
She
ahead like always.
really
Like-
wants to scope out the competition, but I mean, also we shouldn't miss the part where you see how much of a difference Blake and Weiss have views on the Faunus.
Yeah, that comes a little bit later. I
But she's
think.
like, she's ready to
Well-
like just like beat down on them.
Oh, yeah,
right
that's
away.
true.
Weiss is immediately like judgmental, and Blake's like, "Don't be saying
Speaking
that
of
stuff."
Faunus, I didn't catch this before because I guess Sun was such like an integral part of like season 2 and 3. But Sun was a stowaway on the ship that he was on,
Yeah.
and like they said that he, you know, the ship coming from Vacuo was supposed to come today,
And he's from Vacuo.
right, he's from Vacuo. But didn't he move to Mistral though?
Yeah, he goes to school in
Yes.
Mistral. Yeah,
Anyway,
so
but
he must have
the
been
fact
like
that he was a
at home
maybe-
visiting, and then like was like, "Well, I gotta go. Bye." Jump the ship.
right, and then he just jumps on the ship. But what kills me is that like, he's already registered in the Vital tournament because, of course, he and Sun are partners. He's
Team
partnered with
Sun.
himself. He is well, it's named after him. He and Neptune are partners. But like, if that were the case, then just why stow away on a ship? Why not be like, hey, I have to go to the Vital
Because
Festival?
it's Sun. You know, he's a rapscallion Faunus.
But to
I
say he is
mean-
a bit of a rapscallion.
He also, I mean, I put Sun as kind of a douche,
How dare you say that about my bae?
Oh.
but he kind of is though.
No.
I would maybe not douche, but kind of like
He's-
I don't know.
He's
Cock-
kind of
he's-
no, that also comes off as kind of douche, like douchey. Like he's like he doesn't give any regards towards to anybody else, and he kind of does whatever
he's
he
a
wants
risky
to do.
person. He takes dangers. Or-
You're defending him. Be
I don't know,
honest with
'cause he
yourself.
I will always
he
defend
takes to
Sun.
Blake really easily, and like he watched over her for that weekend that she ran away from her team.
Yeah, but
I mean, for just meeting somebody, he, you know,
who says that he's like doing it out of the kindness of his heart and not trying to get laid?
I mean, I
Wow.
just really I
because I,
love.
don't know, maybe some people are just good people.
I don't know.
He
I love
steals
Sun
things
so much.
without a care and a thought about whoever he steals from or why. It's
I
kind of
kinda have, like, a-
rude.
Thought about that, but that comes later after we talk more about Vacuo and how much of a place that's not good for... Well, that was a great English sentence.
Nice.
Anyway, when we talk about vacuum more later, I
Yeah.
kind of have an idea of what kind of place it is.
But, you know,
which I think might explain Sun's behavior a little bit more.
So Sun had entrance, though, like... Obviously...
He had a great entrance.
You know.
I always forget that he
Speaking of
came...
that entrance... Oh, sorry?
I always forget he comes into season 1.
Yeah.
Like,
to be fair, it is the tail end of season 1.
It's literally like this episode? Yeah, this episode is probably my favorite one because of him and the other favorite character, Penny. But, another thing I wrote down was, like, when he runs past Blake, obviously he knows.
Just a little wink at her.
The
and
little
just
slow
like...
wink, and she's like, what? So, I have a feeling Faunus may have, like, I said like 3 times, a sixth sense for each other.
I
even
think
if they can't see
probably they can like when you're something, you like typically probably like you're able to see that in other people easier.
Oh yeah. Especially if you're trying to really hide it.
Yeah, and Penny picked it up right away too. She's like, "Oh, Blake, the Faunus girl," and everyone's like, "Faunus girl, what?" She was
Penny has probably like some type of like X-ray scanner or something like that that automatically like shows up as like
Penny's
Faunus.
A whole nother thing. Because speaking of Penny, because Penny's like,
this is where Penny shows up.
Yeah, they run after Sun and they meet Penny, and it's like the whole meetup.
They literally run into Penny.
I was like, "You are a robot child." I knew immediately.
Like, she just like lies there on the ground.
She lies on, and her face just lights up. She's like, "Salutations," and I'm like, oh my god, you're my favorite character this whole season.
And like, I realized like after going back from season 3 as what we know Penny is now, or how we knew her, to like how she is in the first episode, like the way she talks and like how she acts, like she even kind of has like a computing face.
Yeah, did you see her confusing
especially
face?
When Yang is like, "You've already said that already," and she kind of like gets this face on her face.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Where she's like, "So I did." It's like, computing, error, Penny EXE has stopped working. But like she seems so much like it's obvious how like robotic and just stiff she is, not only in her movements but like in her like speech patterns and just actions.
Yes.
My big question was like, how did she get knocked over?
That is a good question.
How did she get knocked over?
We later see in that episode she literally pulls an airplane down by just walking. And then we see even later in season 2, right, where she stands in front of a truck and stops it.
Yeah. So obviously she's very hard.
I think it was more of a surprise factor.
I think
like,
so too.
She was bracing herself for the truck, which like how when she stood her ground and like centered her weight, yeah, it's not going to move her. But when you're like walking down the street and some girl runs like straight into you and you're not expecting it, it's like, yeah, you're caught off guard. Of course it might like fall over.
But she's probably a lot heavier. Like,
well, maybe Weiss was running really fast.
About to say there's a good amount of force right there.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like Weiss should have got hurt more.
She probably did get a bruise.
Why did she hurt so much? My physics teacher used to be had this like example of density, and he's like, you know, when you just have like 2 similar children next to each other, and you know, you pick one up and you toss them in the air, and they're having a great time, and then you pick the other one up, and it's harder. That child's just dense, and that's what density is. And I was like, thank you for that seemingly like not even explanation that makes density more like same mass, different densities. And yeah. How did she get in front though? You mean, like, I have the same question as Weiss. Is like, she's like,
after him. You. Well, and another thing, like Weiss like suddenly magically gets in front, but like also at the beginning, at one point they were all like lined up in a certain position, and then the screen pans off to the next side, and like Blake and Yang and RWBY have all switched places around Weiss. I'm like, what?
They can walk during that pan.
Well, I mean, they literally just turned on heel, but I guess animation. Yeah.
So yeah, we run into Penny, and then
This
Ruby
is
says
when
Weiss says he's a scumbag and like
Oh,
getting all
no.
defensive.
I was gonna say Ruby says friend.
Oh, friend.
Yeah, when Ruby calls her friend, and even everyone's like, "No, she's not our friend." No.
No.
Why not?
Sure.
Little hesitant about it, but then willing to extend that hand.
And
then,
Penny's just like,
of course, it pays off because Penny and Ruby and all, yes.
But it was kind of funny, like how like Penny just gets in front of him somehow.
And Weiss is just like, huh.
That's what I was talking about. Like, how did she get in front? And Weiss is the only person who seems to notice that, and she's like, how did she do that?
Because who knows?
Magic.
Because it's Penny.
It's Penny. This is more robotic than ever. Oh, man. But yeah, that fight between Weiss and Blake, man. I feel for Ruby and Ying, because I just like, it's me.
Been in that position before where two friends are like, I don't think they have like escalated to like fighting yet until they get into the bedroom.
Yeah, it was like,
but like
really
it's still that position where even Yang's like, we should get out of here.
Yeah. Like, let's not yell at each other in the middle of the street.
Yeah, and then Penny's just like, are we going to do anything? And it's like, don't worry, Penny.
Before we get too deep into the Weiss and Blake thing, I would like to point out the combat skirt little like high five.
It's a combat skirt.
Thank you.
Like, it might be just a little thing, but at the same time, it shows that Weiss and Ruby can get along. Like,
oh yeah.
Like it definitely shows that they're getting along a lot better, and it's like it's kind of a nice little like high five, we're friends. Comparative to like something. The first couple episodes where she's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And now they're sharing combat skirt high fives.
And during the Blake versus Weiss argument, the black theme from the black trailer theme, Weiss is playing in the background.
Oh, I didn't notice
at
that.
the beginning with Blake getting really upset, and then once Weiss switches over to the apartment or to the dorm room, and Weiss starts telling her side of the story.
It starts being mirror.
Yeah, it switches to mirror.
I noticed that one. But...
So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, well, it kind of shows like who is in charge of the argument at that point. Like, hey, Blake is the one that's being very, I guess, offensive. So, like, if you think about it, offense, defense.
Yeah.
You know, Blake's the offense, and that's why the music's
in
playing.
The beginning.
And then you get to the bedroom. It's like Weiss is now the one that's on the offensive, and it's like, ay. And then we hear the famous line, "I'm a victim." And I'm just like, oh my god.
It's like, I'm a victim.
And then you're just like, at that moment in time, though, you're like, yeah, sure, Weiss, you're the victim. And then she goes off and she's like, people are dying. And we're like,
She goes in, like, board executives, family, friends suddenly disappear. And it's like, for a little girl growing up, having the white fang to blame for all of like the bad things that happened, like those board executives and family friends that went missing.
Upset dad coming home.
Yeah, upset dad coming home from Schneemart, being all angry that, the white fanger not only ruining his business, but literally ruining his family's life.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, put in that position, you would be upset at, like, again, it's really easy to go into dichotomy of us versus them, and it's a lot, like, more comforting for people to think in those terms, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, psychology and stuff, good versus evil, black and white, lightness, darkness. It's always good for a person to feel that they have an adversary that they're fighting against, because it makes, like, our actions justified.
Yes.
So, in Weiss's mind,
she feels
and having
justified.
like it's just for Weiss it's justifiable, but then we go over to Blake's side where it's like, the white fang or like the faunus have been like under humanity's foot for the longest time, and they've been like discriminated against, and there's been actual bloodshed and war about the faunus and the people. that, like, both sides have very compelling arguments, and it's like you really can't make it into a black and white situation.
No, it's very neutral. You don't really know. And here's a thing that actually confused me: the timeline of the White Fang and when it started, and Weiss's family being attacked. Because I was paying very close attention to this little detail. Was the White Fang started 5 years ago.
The White Fang changed 5 years ago.
It changed.
It changed
However,
the leadership.
It wasn't violent.
They didn't start getting violent until those
5
years.
So, how long has the Snee family, just the Snee family, been targeted with violent actions? Is
Probably
what
the
gets
last
me.
5 years.
Even like going off
Well,
of that,
she
how
says,
long
though,
has
her
like been like
childhood.
radical White Fang?
Yeah.
Well,
Been like, you could have an organization, have it be peaceful, but you could still kind of have like radical thinking inside that
Exactly,
organization acting on their own.
So it's like, if all of her childhood that's all she's known, then obviously that there has been bad apples in the White Fang for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad to think about that. Yeah.
I mean, and that's like with any organization or group like that, is there's always going to be people that misrepresent anything, no matter what group you're in. There's always going to be like those radicals that do something that are not for
so
what you
favorable.
actually supposed to do.
Yeah.
So.
And unfortunately, your entire view of that from then on out is because of those few bad apples.
Yeah, and
I think is what happened in Weiss's case.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, it's apparently all fawn to her bad.
Yeah, which
and
kind of is very narrow-minded.
A bit, yeah.
I mean, yes, but growing up in a situation that she had with no other outlets, it's not particularly all of her fault that's her view.
Again, the whole black and white dichotomy, good versus evil, having an enemy to face makes things easier.
Yeah.
What I want to know is later on when they do fight and Blake does do the whole royal we situation where she accidentally lets slip that she was part of the White Fang, then pushed around, and then she realizes what she said and runs. She runs to the statue in front of Beacon, and the statue in front of Beacon is a hunter and a huntress with their foot down on, I think it's an Ursa.
It's an Ursagram, yeah.
But what really interests me is that she looks at the hunters, and then it pans down to the Ursa, and then that's when she pulls off her bow, and it's the little cat ears.
And starts crying.
And I'm like, why zoom down to the Ursa, and like, why have that scene with the statue? Unless you're like showing like the whole like destroying of the Grimm, which is a good thing. Should be a good thing. But then I guess, I don't know if she was thinking about like how it was like, I don't know, a visual metaphor for humanity and the faunus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it's like, when it panned out on that, my immediately thought was like, she must still think that they are considered like grim to the humans. You know?
Or animals, because, Ursa, bear.
Exactly. So it's like...
And then, having the foot come down on the bear
and then
is
constantly
like human
fighting
and animal.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just a constant fight. Yeah, I could just like a physical metaphor for just being in a constant fight. But then you hear Sun's voice, and he's like, I thought you would look prettier without the bow.
He totally knew! I knew he knew!
She's pretty because she's a faunus, and because she took off her bow, it's pretty because she's being who she really is on the inside. And I mean, I'm a huge sea monkeys person, but Blake and Sun are just yes.
Same.
I love those two together. And then after that, they're all looking for back to Team RWBY, and of course Blake hasn't come home from the night before, and they'll go looking for
weekend.
Right. And I find it interesting how Weiss is all on her being part of the White Fang, and like, and then Ruby and Yang are more focused on like, she's our teammate before anything, and we have to find our teammate, and I hope she's okay. And I don't know, I think that's kind of like shows where their minds are at that point, where it's like, Weiss is still really on the White Fang thing.
Well, I mean, you would be too. It was like one of your closest friends and partners is part of the organization that tried to kill your family. Like, that's not something that you typically get over pretty fast, I don't think.
True.
Like, was she involved? Did she do something? Was she one of the people that killed one of your friends or stole the train, which she did?
I mean, it's true. I would be upset with my friend, but I think I would be more concerned about her whereabouts than what she's been up to. You know, I guess.
I mean, I could definitely see where Weiss is coming from. I'm just saying, like, at that point, there's definitely, like, where everybody's mindset is at.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she hasn't calmed down yet.
Yeah, that's definitely
She
She
hasn't calmed down yet. And when she could think more rational, but, like, I mean, if I was Weiss,
12 hours.
I was Weiss, like, in that situation, it would take me days to, like, get over it.
It would take you days to get over it.
And, like, I mean, that person, frankly, like, would be dead to me. Because if they threatened or hurt my family or any other way, like, I don't know. Like, at that time, I would think that they were involved in that. I'm not sure, but, like, if they were, then that would be a huge issue for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's what went through Weiss's head during that time.
Right. And then, more Blake and Sun. We're going from, like, happy to sad to, like, happy again. Because, I don't know. I'm all over.
Excuse my paper turning.
Notes filing. I don't know. I just use sticky notes, guys.
I wish I used sticky notes. So now we're on.
I think it's super cute how they're out having tea.
I like how he uses a monkey
Sun
tail.
holds his thing with his tail. Like, he's so used to just, like, having it out and, like, having it be like, Sun to me is a person who embraces being a faunus.
Oh yeah.
And Blake is the one that hides it. So
this is why I
even
love Sun.
with that, we have, like, a polarity where it's complete opposites, one or the other.
Yeah.
He's the light, she's the shadows. Hey.
Okay, enough of that.
But it's kind of interesting to see, like, Sun's view as another faunus on the White Fang.
Oh yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, by the way, we're in episode 16 now.
Yeah, episode 16.
Just throwing that out.
Last episode?
The last episode of the season.
But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting to see, like, because at this point we only know human perspective and then Blake's perspective, who was part of the White Fang, and now we get to see another perspective of another faunus, and he doesn't like them one bit, like, despises them.
And that they're other faunus.
His eyes go cross and he spits out his drink, or he chokes on his drink, or he coughs, or
he's just like, White Fang?
Because he's like, you're part of the White Fang?
Yeah. It's just, he also mentions, like, not only him, but there's a multitude of people who don't, or I should say, not people, faunus, who don't agree with the White Fang.
Faunus apparently, or some faunus do not like the White Fang, even though they are for, like, faunus rights. It's almost, like, extreme.
Faunus rights.
Yeah.
Yes.
The point where it's like, yeah, but maybe not that much.
Essentially.
Like, we don't want people to hate us any more than they already do.
Yeah.
But what, going back to what we explained about, like, a few minutes ago, apparently Sun's been, like, watching out for Blake for almost the entire weekend. And, like, he even says, all you've been giving me is, like, dirty looks and giving me the silent treatments.
Dirty looks.
Dirty looks, like that face she makes.
I love that face.
I love that cat
face. The face that she makes there, and the face when he says, weren't you in a cult? I'm just like, I want a screenshot of that face and just use it for, like, every reaction face when someone says something stupid.
Yes.
Just do a Blake face, just be like, you couldn't see it, but I just did a Blake face.
Same.
So, Sun's been watching out for it, and part of me is like, I don't know. Like, you know when you're, like, really bothered by someone, you kind of want to be in the company of someone who's experienced the same things you have.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, like, let them empathize with you.
Yes.
And I think that's why Blake kind of hung around, because I think it was really good for her to be around another faunus in the situation.
Especially one who shows that he is proud to be a faunus, you know, like what you had said earlier, this tail thing.
Weiss had been, like, ratting on, like, you know, faunus are scum, faunus are rapscallions, and they're no good, thieves and liars, but then here comes this, like, random stranger who, after, like, meeting her once, met her in front of a fountain, I guess talked with her and just to see what was up, and then spent the weekend with her to make sure she was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, coming from like thieves, liars, rapscallions, and scum, then there's just this generally good faunus. And yeah, he steals some apples from like a random vendor and stowed away on a ship, but I think he's still good in his heart.
Honestly, I don't think he would have done that unless she was cute.
Well, here's the thing.
Not everything happens because someone is cute.
I like to think
Sun.
I just realized the term. I like to think of Sun being the class jokester. He is, known for his pranks and his little,
well, he's
funny
based
comments.
Off of Sun Wukong.
What?
He's based off of Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
Who is kind of like that personality even in the myth.
Yeah, exactly. A jokester. So
yeah,
I don't know. I like him a lot.
Are you guys talking about Donkey Kong?
We are not talking about Donkey Kong. Go away.
Please leave that in. So yeah.
Anyway.
So Blake starts and tells her story, her side of the story, which we haven't heard yet. That basically she grew up in it.
Yes.
She was born into it.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
So even from a young age, she was at every single rally and protest and boycott. And like she even says, it was an organization of peace and like good nature between humans and the faunus. And for a while, it was kind of working. And then she said the leader stepped down and a new leader took his place, which we know is Adam.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know if the new leader...
Did it ever say why the old leader stepped down?
See, that's why I'm like, I don't believe he stepped down. I feel like there might be some forced stepping down there.
I think there was some underhanded play as well, because I don't think an organization that would have done that much for human-faunus relations would have their leader just step down. Yeah. And then suddenly become, like, way more violent.
And new and young. Because obviously Adam is what, maybe 27 or something? So he had to have been, what, 17, 18?
5 years. Oh, my brain's doing math now.
I'm sorry.
My brain stopped.
I did 10
23.
years.
Oh, 10 years? Yeah, it'd be like 23 from 5 years ago.
So yeah, 23. He still would have been, like, in his early 20s. So it's
but,
like...
I mean, do we know
how old Adam is? For real?
I'm gonna guess he's in his mid-20s.
Has that ever been said?
I think he's in his mid-20s. I think
because,
that's what was mentioned before.
I hope that's the age, because any older than that, then the relationship between Blake and him kind of gets a little creepy.
Well, they even mention it, though, in a stream, is how creepy Adam is. Because he's so much older.
Oh, really?
Adam's straight up creepy-o.
Yeah.
Do we know what stream that was? Hey, audience, if you know what stream that was,
can't remember.
Let us know.
I just know that they mentioned it in a recent stream. But obviously, so the White Fang must have been around, what, 20 years? Because if Blake was born into it, and
yeah, she's 18.
It was a well-formed organization by the time that she got into it.
Yeah.
I am a little bit more interested to see what's going on internally within the White Fang.
That would be
interesting. Do we know for sure?
Because now we know that Adam is just a whack job, because he whacked Fang's arm off.
What did you say, Justin?
I want to see.
Do we know for sure it was Adam that took over? I mean, it could have been someone else, and then Adam took over after that.
Well, she only mentioned the
Adam
one.
Is now in power.
I mean, she's just mentioned the one that became violent. It doesn't mean that Adam didn't take over. And
well, she would have said, though, like, there was someone that stepped up and then another person took his place after a while.
What she's really trying to drive home is the fact that the White Fang became violent and it's still remaining violent.
Yes.
So I think it's a safe bet to say it was Adam.
But the way that she describes Adam later on in the series about, like, just making mistakes and then started becoming evil, it doesn't make it sound like...
Well, I mean, it could have been within the span of a year of him being leader.
I guess so.
Because that pressure of being a leader is a lot. Especially about rowdy faunus.
Being in a position of power does change people. Because either they handle the power really well, or they let it go to their head.
Or maybe Blake was
they start using their power to do things that they personally see what's best.
Yeah. Or, I mean, it could also been, like, Blake didn't, like, maybe they started off with small violent stuff. Like, maybe it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna, kill people. But maybe it was like, we're gonna be more aggressive. And then suddenly, really aggressive. And maybe Blake didn't see it at first. But maybe eventually
they
she
did
saw
the whole train heist together.
Yeah,
Yes.
she just said, like, it was like like, the way she described Adam was a progression. The way she described the leadership was a switch.
Yeah.
From good to bad. And not, like, good to bad-ish and to really bad. I don't know.
Who knows?
I think there's more to the White Fang and Adam.
I do
that
too.
We need to know
There
about.
definitely is.
We're gonna probably find out too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm in the boat where if you stab somebody and then cut their best friend's arm off, you're probably not a great person.
Nope. Not at all.
So, going off from their conversation, Weiss and Yang and Ruby are still looking tirelessly for Blake, and then all of a sudden,
Penny
again.
Penny.
Weiss's hair looks fantastic today. And then, what kills me is that she immediately, like before, saw through Blake's disguise.
Oh yeah.
And it took the others that realization.
It took them
Yang is even much. And then they just
Ruby's just like
everything falls into place right there.
Tuna a lot. And this is like
she does like tuna. I mean, if you see the way she eyed the bowl in the first episode of
season 3 was the best.
She's just like fish.
How did you not know?
I would be too.
But then Yang and Weiss run away, and it's just nuts and bolts.
Yay!
I love Penny and Ruby.
The tumbleweed, and even when Penny's like, "It sure is windy today."
That's my favorite joke ever.
She's still kind of I love that as a visual pun with the tumbleweed, but it still kind of shows about how out of touch Penny is with things still.
She does no sense of feelings around her.
Right, she's like, these 3 people have been searching tirelessly for their friend for hours now, and Penny's like, it really is windy today. I love you, Penny.
I love her so much.
And when she and Ruby are walking, Penny's walk is super, super stiff and awkward, and her wrists are flared out.
I said, yeah, Penny walks funny. It was weird.
And the best thing about...
she's looking at Ruby while she walks, too.
Oh, and she's trying to imitate that walk, I think.
Season 2 and 3, she has, so much more of a natural stride, and it's she's learning.
She's learning. I also like that she, to learn, she also is asking, but why is she your friend? And why is
she's a child
like this? And
essentially,
and it's
she has the mentality of a child,
and it makes me happy. They made her off the bat seem so robotic, and then suddenly revealed as hey, by the way, guys, and it's that's okay. We kind of knew,
girl. And
but
thanks,
we know. Guys. We kind of know.
We know. I remember when that first became a thing. In season 2, when we figured out Penny was a robot, the best gifts that I ever saw was Penny showing Ruby her wrists and having the metal, and she's like, "I'm not a real girl." And then there was a gif of some lady waving her wrist, and she's like, "Girl, I know. Yep. We all know."
That's my favorite.
I was like, "This is perfect. This is everybody's reaction to that. Was just we know. We know." But the little things they add in, Penny's walk and her really rigid behavior, it's you can kind of see where they were taking that, but if you didn't know beforehand, it's still kind of, or paid really strong attention to, it still could come as a surprise.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Blake and Sun and the whole White Fang thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my note about how much of Sun's law breaking is tied to the fact that he's from Vacuo, in a place that's not necessarily very kind to people.
No.
Because he mentions Vacuo was not a very suit and tie kind of place.
It's very rough.
Even when in season 2 they're playing that board game, which I'll go much later in, there's little allusions to how freaking bad Vacuo sounds to live in, because they have scavengers. And there's a desert, so it's
he literally lives in a desert.
Fend for yourself.
Oh yeah,
it's fend for yourself. And maybe, you know, thieving may not be that bad of a crime when everybody's literally trying to get their hands on what little resources that they have. So to Sun, it might not be a huge deal to like maybe like take a few apples that no one's going to miss. But you know, when we're a place like Vale where everything's very probably a lot better off, you know, that's gonna go noticeable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think after is he a first year student or second year?
I think he's second year.
He's either second or first, I know that much.
But like I feel like with the time that he's gotten to interact with people in his other school, he would like kind of learn social norms, and stealing is bad.
Well, I mean, remember that fight scene where he's like, "Hey guys, come meet my friends," or "Hey Neptune, come meet my friends," and he's like has the happiest face ever because there's a food fight going on. I don't know. I feel like he probably
I really
kept
agree
a
with
lot
Lex on this one.
of his
like he had the
vacuo.
personality of class clown.
Yeah.
Where he would kind of keep those same traits. And you know, sometimes when you grow up with something, that habit is hard to break, like Rice's views on the faunus.
Oh yeah. And she had like a whole weekend and 12 hours. Even though that wasn't mentioned, that she had a whole weekend to think about it, but you know, 12 hours she thought about it.
I thought about it hard. And I like the conclusion that she came to for the most part, but we'll talk about that later. My next note is we're not the most inconspicuous thieves at the moment, says the man who came in on a giant airship with lights and shouting at the top of his lungs.
Yep.
GG Roman.
Roman?
Also, I called him Roman a lot instead of Torchwick.
I like calling him Roman.
Well, we're on a first name basis, guys.
What have you done?
Yeah, I just think... What?
What have you done?
Nah.
I will never tell.
Your first name basis with Roman, so obviously you know him pretty well.
Nothing. Team Magic.
So still in dust again.
Nothing. You didn't see anything. But that to me was just funny. That and the fact that he almost says, like, I had subtitles on. Like, I usually watch things with subtitles on that they either do like the closed captioning for or put in.
Oh no, you
But
didn't.
it almost sounds like he's saying, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Oh.
When Blake puts the knife at his throat and they cut him off just before that.
I think he does too, almost.
Like, oh, and then Blake starts talking, or someone starts talking.
Yeah, Blake starts talking.
Oh,
God bless.
I wish in my heart of hearts that that's what you were thinking about saying.
Honestly. Why are the redheads always my favorite?
Like, coming from the fights we see in the forest, to like, some like dry area in the middle where there's a few fights, but then we get like the grand mall of fights at the very end of season 1. And this is the part where I'm just like, finally, there's a fight again.
This one was like my favorite. I'm gonna say that right now. This one is definitely my favorite scene. Or fight scene.
Definitely. The fight with Roman and Sun.
Oh my god.
And just how fast they're moving and just how like the way they handle their weapons and just
Nunchuck.
Oh my god, I'm just like
staff gun. Ah!
Nunchuck staff gun. I'm surprised you're not talking about this, Justin, because you're the one that usually goes gaga over the fights. But what I want to know is when Blake screams, "He's mine," who is she talking about? Is she talking about hitting Roman to Sun?
She wants
or is she talking about
he's talking
the fact
about
that Roman is going after Sun? And she's like, "Sun's mine!"
No. It's Roman. She wants to beat him.
Yeah, she
hates them. So
no,
it's
she
like,
calls
he's
him out
mine.
as a target.
She's claiming the fight for Roman as hers. So it's like, don't fight him, fight the other dumb idiots that are behind you while I take care of Roman.
I know, I'm just really into Sun and Blake, and I kind of want One can only hope.
Something that I noticed between like Roman and like Sun's fight was just the intensity of like the speed / like the fight in general. The technique that like you have to learn to like dodge the amount of attacks that Sun was putting out, because just not alone with Sun's skill, but like Sun's weapon itself is very
Fast-paced.
fast-paced and efficient. I mean, nunchucks that are also guns are like, that's a big deal, which makes me want to think, like, if Roman was a previous huntsman gone rogue or bad, or if he just was one of those kids that grew up in an academy and went to train, like, school for like a weapons school or whatever it's called, and then decided that it wasn't for him and dropped out and became a thug. Because, like, I don't
to say, because Roman definitely has some training behind him.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, between like fighting him and Blake, like Sana and Blake,
He took both of them on.
I have
I mean,
no
to be fair,
idea.
they still
like,
are students.
Yeah,
but
I mean, if Sun is a
like,
second year,
but Roman's
like,
not your
no,
typical
I'm totally agreeing with you here.
street thug. Like, your typical street thugs don't have that much skill. Like,
exactly.
you saw with like RWBY took care of RWBY and Yang took care of Junior's people, like, easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. I think
I say Roman is a professional.
Oh yeah,
He's
a
professional.
bong.
But, like, I don't know. I feel like you don't, like, professionally learn how to do that stuff. You, like, go to school and learn all that stuff, and then, like, you drop out and become a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he learned it at combat school.
Like, yeah,
and then
for
just
sure.
had like a whole bunch of like fights in between to just reinforce what he might have learned.
Well, I'm sure once he, like, I guess, agreed with Cinder too, you know?
It's like, I'm going to be taking on nearly all of the Four Kingdoms all at once. I probably should learn or like train on how to fight.
Exactly.
That might be a good thing.
With a cane.
How to say, because we already know that, with a cane no less, we already know that Roman is like wicked smart.
Oh yeah.
For whatever, like...
He's I mean, I'm sure if he probably went to combat school, I bet you he was probably in the advanced classes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think that's interesting, that his ability to fight is really good. So,
I have to say, I don't think Salem or Cinder would have allowed him to be otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to where he was for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Other note, Penny's fight.
Penny's fight.
I was really sad.
I'm combat ready.
That's really sad.
Wait, why is it sad?
Because you're like combat ready, and you're like, oh, Penny's all awesome, and this is when she's not broken into pieces.
Why would you say that?
Which, funny you should mention that, because I didn't realize that the swords were on strings up until it was mentioned in season 3.
Really?
I only thought a few of them were.
Okay.
That she like purposely made that way, because she did pull the helicopter down. But I was like, that might have been just for those few swords, because the other ones look like they're just like polarization kind of moving on their own. And then there all of a sudden is like a laser. Don't know how the laser got there. Oh well, dust. We'll just blame it on dust.
I actually noticed the strings immediately, because you know when Penny turns her back, she's like, "Don't worry, I got this, Ruby." Wow, I flipped out really bad. And you see a backpack on her. This just like confirmed. I was like, where did this come from? I sat down with my friend. We were talking about this. And I told her, I was like, this was not here before. She's like, yes, it was. I mean, you know, the animation stuff. And it was like, no, she's a robot. Ah. And then the strings.
Her back opened up, and I was like, people can't
magically make that appear. I was like, where did that come from? And then suddenly they came from her back, and I was like, what is going on? This is not physics.
That the entire fight's just baller.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't remember if it was this fight or some other fight that there's a raptor that falls out of the plane.
It was this one, I think, because
it was this one?
I think it was this one.
Because I remember someone briefly telling me about that.
Because the next season
has a raptor.
Well, I don't know.
And I went
No,
back
I don't.
And,
it's not this.
Everything.
It's not.
I don't think it's this fight.
I think it's season 3.
Or is this season 3?
But there is a helicopter raptor that falls out of a broken plane.
I know in season 2 there's an Ursa on the dance floor. Not much I know, and I've seen it.
Dance and Ursa.
But
Sometimes they just want to make friends and have fun. Like the robot
sometimes a
who has a
raptor just wants to
business.
peer out of a plane.
The raptor went to pilot school. It was its first flight.
It's part of the white fang. Just trying to make a change for
Raptor rights.
faunus.
Trying to make a change for dinosaurs. The least talked about race in Remnant.
So then I guess we cut to things being okay because the fight. I mean, they obviously Torchwood got away.
Yeah, and Penny was just a boss and destroyed everything. And like, I can't believe you never noticed the strings. Like, that was
Seriously,
I noticed them on a
super
few.
obvious.
And like, I noticed them on a few, and those few, I was okay with having strings. It's like, oh, that's what they're used for.
And then you didn't
But just
think
like the swords she throws around, they don't look like they have strings, and that's where my brain got
Oh, Tori.
short-circuited.
Oh,
But
Tori.
like, yeah, I saw the strings, and I saw the little clips of the strings being pulled back, and yeah, but I assumed that they were just on those particular swords. I don't know.
It's okay.
That's how my brain worked.
It's okay. We all make mistakes.
And then it all made sense in season 3.
Yeah. So then Weiss and Yang meet up with the 3 that were fighting.
Clearly, Weiss has thought about things.
Yes. And I kind of actually like how she like goes through it. Like,
yeah. How she
does point out, like, we've been worried about you for a weekend and 12 hours. 12 hours I've had to think about this.
Just the 12 hours.
I decided that I don't care. And like, even though she doesn't care about Blake being the white faunus, the fact that that she doesn't want to, I think it's both nice and kind of that she doesn't want to hear the rest of Blake's story, because it's like, I like how you're kind of like, that's not you anymore. If it's not you right now, I don't want to hear about it. But still, it's kind of like, I don't know, cathartic to tell somebody like why you did something when you did, so you have a better understanding of like why they are the way they are now. So it's kind of a moot thing for me, the way Weiss handled it. Whereas I like how you don't care, but that I'm not really enjoying how you're not letting Blake explain.
Yeah, I was proud of her for the change of heart.
I think Blake is a very private person, and I think Blake doesn't really like to open up, and so Weiss did a favor for her, so she doesn't have to.
I guess,
because if she didn't want to talk about it in the first place, she doesn't want to talk about it now, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
like, she already kind of opened up to Sun about it, and maybe you just want to open it up to one person and then feel better.
But like, kind of like how Penny said something earlier, it was like, if I was a friend, I would want to know what's going on,
right.
And it's like, if I was in Weiss's position, I'd be like, yeah, I don't care, but I would like to know why a little bit. I don't know.
I also think for Weiss, it might be easier just to, like, the past is past, let's just forget it. Hakuna Matata. Let's move on. Hakuna Matata. Let's move on. Because obviously there are bigger things to worry about now.
Yeah. And then after that we have it goes to Ozpin, and he's on his scroll, and we get a message from Crow that says the queen has pawns.
Which, I mean, obviously Crow. That's definitely Crow.
And so yeah, Crow is hinted in there. And then who do you think the queen is? Is it Cinder or is it Salem?
I think it's Salem.
I was gonna say, it's either talking about Cinder having Mercury and Emerald, or it's Salem having Mercury, Emerald, and Cinder underneath her thumb.
I think
so.
It's Salem,
I think the queen is Salem at this point.
Yeah. To be honest about the pawns, though, I think it's more like the White Fang. Because she already has Mercury and
no, I think
Cinder in them for a while. Because obviously Amber's been, in the basement now for probably a couple of years.
Maybe.
Do we know that, though?
Well,
we know
it's either been a year or 2.
We know. No, it hasn't been. Maybe a year, but the timeline.
Cinder's hair is grown.
The timeline between when she does all that stuff, gets the powers back, and then goes straight back to Adam, was when they were doing the whole train thing.
Yeah.
And
but
so
I mean, still happened like
that could have been like
a month or
maybe
a year. I don't
a
know.
month or like a couple months from when school started, and then from that. So I'm gonna say like a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
I think regardless of who it is, though, it's the fact that I think they're now on the move is what Crow is trying to warn
That's what I'm
Aspen
thinking.
about.
Because, like, obviously...
Because in Season 2 is when Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury come in and pose as students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know is about, like, maybe, like, 2 weeks later from the end of Season 1. So...
But yeah,
it could be that Cinder is, quote, the queen, or I think personally it's Salem.
I think
evil
it's
queen,
Salem, and
evil
I think
stepmother, that whole thing.
Crow had just found out about that information.
The Black Queen is also what Cinder uses for the hacking.
Yeah, but
and so...
But how much of that is that her own symbol, or is that the queen's symbol? Because
it shows up when
Cinder
she's
has her
talking,
own symbol,
though.
which is her tattoo. I mean, you can still be under an umbrella of who you're working for.
Yeah, you can still use the same symbol.
Cinder could be really proud to work with Salem and might adopt her symbol to be like, I don't know, not her pawn, but kind of like her reach out into the world kind of thing.
Her knight.
Kind of, yeah. I could see that, definitely.
In a chess piece, yeah, it would probably be the knight.
I have to say, the queen's one of the most powerful pieces on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most powerful piece on the board.
When you have that out in chess and in play, the way Cinder's been acting, you know, going after Amber, going after Amber and, like, you know, sneaking into the school, and she's pulling out all these power plays. But is she pulling them for herself, or is she pulling them for Salem?
I think
we could actually argue that Salem is the king on the chess piece board in this place.
Yeah, I think Salem's the queen.
But
that's just personally.
We don't know how much of Salem and Cinder do we know is actually like connected to each other?
I mean, it's 100% a thing, because I mean, Ozpin got kidnapped and brought to Salem.
But do we know that for sure?
I still think
do you think
they're pretty tied.
I think Cinder is just kind of power hungry.
You think Cinder's doing her own thing?
I think she's power hungry, but I think Salem knows how to give her power. That's the thing. She's working for Salem to get that power that Salem has.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Cinder...
They could be entirely separately acting entities, but...
I mean, it's never been confirmed that they're together.
Both kind of planning coincide with each other.
Yeah.
And you know the whole "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" kind of thing. I don't know.
But
go either way.
I'm correct, right? There's no official thing that says they're connected.
Speech, though, and from Salem's speech.
But that's
just to say, because like Salem is definitely the big baddie in this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just bringing it up.
Hey, question, guys. Who do you think the queen is? Who do you think the queen that Crow was talking about?
So yeah, there's your question of the week.
There's your question of the week.
And last question for the next 2 weeks, to be honest.
Yep. Oh, also, one more thing that I want to point out, that this was just kind of a cool little thing that I noticed. At the very end of it all, when Ozpin lowers his scroll and looks at Beacon, the moon is getting full again.
Yeah.
So it's like it was broken before,
and
then things happened, and now it has closure. And that's the end of season 1.
I also like that we finally get introduced to who Cinder is, and like her looks and her voice. So.
Yep, and then we get like 2D cutouts of
Mercury and
Emerald.
Yeah, it's like, who are the other two?
Teasers.
Because they don't get...
Who are these mysterious cutouts?
Yeah, they don't get rendered. They don't have 3D until
I thought that was I thought that was so interesting, though, because I noticed I was like, wait a second, these aren't the models.
It's kind of like what they did when they introduced Papa Schnee of Schneemart.
I do too, yeah.
In the plane. Is when they pan back from Weiss, you see Papa Schnee, but he's a 2D render.
Is he?
Or like a 3D
Yeah,
environment.
he's a 2D render with a very 3D look.
I mean, it looks really good.
I was because also when we first see Ruby's dad. He's
Hi,
also a
Yeah.
2D render, or just a 2D.
Well, he's not really 2D.
When we first
He's
see
very
him,
far in the
He's very
background, though.
3D. Or you mean for which
very
season?
first see him, beginning of season
Season 3, yes. When you
3.
see his silhouette.
Yeah, it's a silhouette that's
Yeah.
2D.
I mean, season 3 utilized a lot of 2D renders,
But-
especially when they were like in the Vital Festival, going to like the bar where we see the guy with the undercut. That
But yeah, no,
Sorry, I
like
like
in
undercuts.
season 3, they started doing this new type of like 2D, 3D combination, which I love. I'm in love with it.
I do too.
I was
Mhm.
like amazed because I was like, this looks so high quality. But yeah.
Yeah.
But say 2D renders rather easy to do, and they look great. Like,
Mhm.
but say because if you try to 3D render that out, it's going to take a lot of
Oh,
time
God,
and a
yeah.
lot of individual models. Where you can just like as in 2D, just draw a picture, render it out a little bit, and
There you go.
bam, you've got and it
A
looks
beautiful
wonderful and
image.
fabulous.
But
And then you actually have 2D animation,
yeah.
and we'll get to that when we get to it. Anyway, so
Big announcements.
closing arguments.
So yeah, who do you think the Black Queen is? Let us know that. And also, do you think Cinder and Salem are working together or not? Or
cahoots?
what are your theories on that?
I guess also, what else was there? Oh, should we mention the chibi thing and
Ruby
then the
chibi?
Ruby chibi and what we're gonna do with that, and then for season 2's episodes?
I'm going to take care of that. So for Ruby Chibi, we know that sponsors will get it a week early, but we are actually going to wait until we said a week after the public release of the episode to talk about it, just so you all can have a chance to go watch it and see it. And that is going to be taking place of the third episode that we normally talk about in the podcast, as the episodes are now getting longer and full of
More
a
theories.
lot more plots and theories and everything.
Yep.
So that's what's happening as far as Ruby Chibi goes, which I am so excited for because I saw Chibi Jean and my heart exploded.
I know. And Zwei.
Little Chibi Spy.
And we will not be recording next week. We will have a break. But during that break, we thought it'd be a fun idea for people who like to do art stuff. Would draw a album cover for us for the
Season 2.
Season 2. The first season 2 episode of the MAVV crew. So
Yeah, and it could be from. Are we gonna do 1 through 3 for the first episode of season 2? Since we won't have, or are we still just gonna do 2 episodes?
we'll probably just do 2
I think-
episodes.
Just do 2.
2 episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
1
yeah.
and 2 just to keep everything
So
consistent.
do a doodle that is involved with episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, and just add Vox and Brio, right? Lex,
Brio,
what's your and Brio? Yeah,
It's Brio.
and Jam. So
Yeah.
Damn!
Yep.
Jamming out.
I think that's about everything.
Yep, and hey guys, it is the end of season 1. We're already a third of the way through things.
We're literally gonna be finishing by the time they start, or actually before they do season 4.
Oh my goodness. And then we'll be on hiatus again, and then my heart will hurt. But thank you everybody so much who has supported us so far, gave us shout-outs, gave us theories. We love you all, and we greatly appreciate it, and we love you guys from the bottoms of our hearts.
Thank you so
And-
much.
So on May 5th is when you need to get in the drawing by, and we will announce the winner of the album cover. And then, so May 5th is when you need to turn it in.
Deadline,
Yep.
May 5th.
Good luck.
So yeah, we
Good
look
luck,
forward to all of
everybody.
your art stuff.
Can't wait to see them all.
Alright.
And you
so-
can submit that on
Tumblr.
Tumblr
Or Twitter.
or Twitter.
And you can tweet it at us.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta make sure our submit button is open.
Yeah,
So I'll take care of that.
yeah, I'll say we'll look at it. And
Alright.
that wraps up everything.
Anywho,
That should be
so
it.
that wraps up the entirety of season 1, you guys. It's been fun, and we're gonna go on a little bit of a break. Not a long break as it was between season 1 and season 2 for the actual show. We're a little bit more closer than that. Just a week.
Just a
You guys
week.
can survive a week.
Well, a little over a week, and then be sure to look out for a surprise. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Mhm.
Okay.
Alright.
Now I'm scared.
Well, that will be
Alright.
it for MAVV Radio. Please remember to check us out on Tumblr and Twitter at MAVV Radio. And that will be it. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye!